Hello, I'm your host, Doug Couch. You are now listening to The Doug Couch Show. Come with me on this journey behind the couch to see what we find. You never know what you'll find on The Doug Couch Show. You might find dust bunnies. You might find a book review. You might find an unboxing. But most importantly, you're going to have fun on The Doug Couch Show. So come along with me on the journey behind the couch to see what we will find. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode. I'm here today with y'all to talk about a new documentary series I've actually been watching. It's really cool. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So, it's really cool. It's called WWE Evil, and it chronicles the lives of several different people in the wrestling business. There's 8 episodes. I've only watched the first 6, so I'm only going to talk about the first 6. So, the first one was Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan was basically a he was in WCW for a while, and then I think he was in WWE first. But anyways, he's the one who was always like Eat Your Vitamins brother. You know, he was the one who had the Hulkamania running wild. And then basically he went to a heel and they called him Hollywood Hulk Hogan. So then, everybody started hating him because he went from this hero that everybody loved to this guy who everybody hated because he was just everybody's hero at one point, and then now he's just this hated dude. And he is the one who brought, I think they said he single-handedly brought WCW to its knees. And him and Vince Russo, who was a writer at the time, did not get along. And so, I mean, that episode was just crazy. And then, after he was the heel for a while, he went back to being the hero. And, it's just like, he was the more, and he was the one responsible he was part of the NWO. And for those of you who don't know what the NWO was, that was the New World Order of wrestling. And basically, it was Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan. And, it was crazy how they would go around and just basically cause chaos in the locker room. They would put people on blast, just do all kinds of just crazy different stuff. Episode number 2 was The Miz. Now, interestingly enough, I did not know this about Miz, but he was actually on an MTV show called Welcome to the World. I think it was Welcome to the World. I don't know, something to do with the world. But anyways, he was on MTV, and I mean, he was a jerk. He was an asshole, and then he got to host SmackDown for a while before he actually was in ring performing, and everybody hated him. Everybody hated The Miz. His catchphrase was "Hoorah!" So every time he would go "Hoorah!" the crowd would go, "You suck," and he was just like he craved that attention because it was attention, you know, that he got, and he craved it. But then he went on to do this thing called Miz TV, and he had different guests on there, and it was just really interesting about Miz. And then he had this YouTube thing that he did with one of his tag team partners, John Morrison. Yeah, it was John Morrison. And they did this YouTube thing where they would make fun of other wrestlers and stuff. And basically, they would mock anybody, really. Then him and Daniel Bryan would get into a feud because Daniel Bryan was the general manager of SmackDown for a while, and him and Daniel Bryan got into it, and he just lost it. Miz just lost it and just went psycho, and so. And he is an actor. He starred in the Marine movie. I think he was in Marine 5. He's a A-lister. They say he's a A-lister. And then so that's the episode where they were talking about Miz. So episode 3 was Sasha Banks. And Sasha Banks drew her character from Eddie Guerrero, sort of, kind of. Like, she took the things that Eddie Guerrero did and basically portrayed them like her. But, she didn't exactly steal his persona or whatever, but she mimicked it, basically. She would do his move, the frog splash. Yeah, and so, she was born and raised on a farm, and her mom, she didn't have a dad. Her cousin is Snoop Dogg. Ironically enough, I didn't know that was pretty cool to figure that out. And basically, so she went to the training, and she didn't think she was gonna make it. But she made it, and she was the NXT Women's Champion for a good while actually, and then she made her debut on WWE, and she's just she conquered for a while, and then she just she was there for a while, and she loved it, but then she got tired of it, and she went to Japan and refueled her love for the business, because basically she was just like, I'm tired of doing this, and being this way, but so she went to Japan, and then she really just got burnt out on the wrestling business. She really just got really burnt out, and she asked Vince, she asked Vince, could she leave? And right away he was like, nah, you're a star, you ain't leaving, you can go take some time off and go find yourself, but you ain't leaving out this motherfucker. So like I said before, she went to Japan, found herself, and came back, and just has been going ever since. One of her biggest feuds was with Charlotte Flair, and her and Sasha got into it, and Sasha straight told her, she said, the only reason you're here is because of your father, Ric Flair. That's the only reason you are here. And it's that's the only reason you're here, is because your daddy was a wrestler, and that's the only reason you're here. So she basically had to prove herself. Charlotte had to prove herself, because she, everybody thought that she was just, put in the company because of her dad. But, that's how Sasha put it. And then, so then you got episode 4, The Brothers of Destruction. And man, where do I start with that? That is crazy. So you got Undertaker and Kane. Now the story of Undertaker and Kane. Well, first we'll talk about Undertaker, because at first it was Undertaker. Undertaker was premiered on Survivor Series in 1996, I believe. So he gets his he's just this evil guy. He gets his character from like slasher movies and stuff like that, and he just he gets his drive from all those movies, and so he and then Paul Bearer was a mortician. So Undertaker was known for like casket matches where they would put people in caskets and like put like concrete around them, and they would bury them alive basically. And then Paul Bearer really helped him bring out his character. He was driven off the fear that the people had for him, because he they were so like they were afraid of him, because this dude embodied evil. His catchphrase was rest in peace. That was his catchphrase. So I mean, he had a winning streak. He had a winning streak that I think he won like 24 or 25 matches. And then sadly, we saw it be broken by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker's streak. I remember that night because we were watching WrestleMania, and I had a beer in my hand. I'm like, man, he's about to beat Brock Lesnar's ass. Well, that didn't exactly happen. And so he ends up losing the belt. Not the belt, but he ends up Brock Lesnar ends up breaking the Undertaker's streak. And man, when I tell you, that whole crowd went silent. It went silent, man. But so then in comes Kane, and the whole thing with Kane and Undertaker, they were a really destructive force, hence the name the Brothers of Destruction. So Kane had a mask on because he thought he had been burned in a fire, because the story was that a fire had got started, and the only one who made it out was the Undertaker. And Kane made it out too somehow, but their parents died, and Kane thought he was so disfigured by that fire that he had to wear a mask. But it turns out he wasn't burned by the fire. He got out before it could even get him. But so that's how the Brothers of Destruction came about. Now we're gonna move on to the Viper, Randy Orton. Now, Randy, his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, and his grandfather, Bob Sr., they were both wrestlers. So Randy watched his dad wrestle from a very, very, very young age. And basically, this was just an amazing journey because he was talking about how his dad, he wouldn't see his dad for about 4 or 5 times out of the year. You know, even his dad was like, I regret that. You know, to this day, I really do regret that. But, you know, can't do anything about it now. So at 19, he goes into the WWE. But before that, he was bullied in high school. You know, he was, he went into the military. You know, he just had a lot of anger and a lot of, you know, aggression. And basically, so he went into the WWE with the wrong kind of attitude, basically, because he was just being crazy, acting stupid, and, you know, and then he ended up getting addicted to pills, and basically he went home from the WWE, and he went to sleep, and, he woke up. He's like, oh, well, I figure if I take these pills, I'll go to sleep. And then he was like, yeah, well, I was right. And then you hear the ambulance, and he was in a hospital room. He had accidentally overdosed on pills, and so he almost got fired from the WWE. So, before that, though, he had joined up with Triple H and Ric Flair to it was Evolution. He joined up with Evolution, and that is what really, really, really set him off to be the Randy Orton we know today. And, you know, now he's just driving. You know, he's like a viper. You know, he's like a snake in the grass. You never know what he's gonna do. You never know. He toys with you. He plays with you. You know, he's just that type of dude. He plays with you. He toys with you. You never know what he's gonna do. Basically, don't fuck with Randy Orton, because if you do, you won't know what's coming to you. And then the last person that we're gonna talk about, and this was episode 6, Stephanie McMahon. Oh man, where do I even start with this? Because she's the daughter of Vince McMahon. So she's about 4 or 5 years old, I would say, when she first goes to her first wrestling match. And this guy, I don't remember the dude's name, but it's in the show if y'all watch it. So this guy, he grabs her, or he starts running towards her, and she's freaking out. So she goes to her dad, and basically she wraps her arms around her dad, and, you know, and basically she introduces him to him. And so then the first time you really hear about Stephanie is when Vince, well, we don't know it's Vince, but so she gets kidnapped by the Ministry, which is part of Undertaker's crew, and they take her, and they're setting him up to be married to Stephanie McMahon. Well, then you find out that there's a higher power that was responsible for this. And you know who it was? It was her own father, Vince McMahon, who did this to her. And she's like, Dad, how could you do this to me? How could you, you know, And it was only to get back at Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he did not like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So then her next storyline was with Triple H, and it was a marriage proposal, And no, okay. So I got that wrong. I'm gonna go back. So the wedding was supposed to happen between her and Test, and so basically her and Tess are about to get married, and he says, if anybody, the preacher says, if anybody has any objections, speak now or forever hold your peace. And Triple H had already said, look, anybody who interrupts this wedding gets fired. So who comes down to the ring? Cue the theme music. Doom, doom. Time to play the game. Triple H comes down, and he's like, oh, and they show this tape that Triple H apparently made of him proposing to Stephanie, and she's upset, she's crying, she's blah blah blah. But anyways, long story short, they end up getting married on screen. Well, behind the scenes, things get more intense, and they end up, behind the scenes they end up being married for real. And then later on, you see her dad is stepped back from off the camera, and Triple H is now the CEO of WWE. So she is in power with him. They're the authority, and they're just driven with power. They're just overdriven with power. They're letting their power go to their heads. They're firing people left and right. She's slapping people. She's just but it's just it was just some crazy stuff, man. But so those are the first 6 episodes in WWE Evil. Once I watch the rest of the episodes, ladies and gentlemen, I will come back and tell you about the rest of them. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. I know I've enjoyed making it for y'all, but I will be back soon with another episode. Thank you for listening. I hope y'all have a good one. Peace. I'm out. Hello, I hope you've enjoyed your journey today with me behind the couch on the Doug Couch Show. If you wish to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Douglas_couch. That's DOUGLAS_COUCH to keep up with when I post the latest episode. If you want to keep up with the news about when episodes are coming out, you can follow me on TikTok at Douglas Couch. That's DOUGLAS_COUCH. If you want to binge listen to the podcast, go back and check out all of our content to see what you like and what you don't like. If you like something, leave feedback. Feedback is always welcome. If you want to email me, you can email me at douglas.couch@rocketmail.com. So, until then, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Peace.